there's any more important video that I'm ever going to make, it's going to be this one. This is so important. And I cannot get the Union County DSS attorney or judge or anyone to correct their records. They refuse. They made a mistake and they refuse. This is the testimony from the October 16th, 2024 permanency hearing. This is where they awarded custody to Red. This is what my appeal is based off of. I didn't appeal anything else because I didn't know I could. My attorneys didn't work with me. So this is the transcript from the October 16th, 2024 case hearing in Union County, North Carolina District Court under Honorable Judge Aaron Hucks. Okay, so this is Jocelyn Hayes on the stand. She is the DSS caseworker. So here it says, right, can you state your name, blah, blah, blah. Union County. She's a social worker, okay? And she's talking about Red and how he's, all in compliance, but I'll show you that that's not true. He didn't do anything on his case plan. They switched it. They acted like I was not compliant and he was doing everything in compliance, but the reality is he did nothing on his case plan. I'll show you that in a minute. And I did everything and lost everything, doing what they told me to do to comply, and they said I wasn't complying. So here you go. P, parenting classes. Red did not take any parenting classes. The guardian ad litem for my daughter, when she heard the caseworker in February 2024 say that I had completed triple parenting classes and had a little certificate, that my daughter's guardian ad litem, Kristen Clark, spoke up and said, oh yes, Red completed his parenting classes. Apparently they did parenting classes in the hallway prior to court because he had no certificate, nothing. But it was allowed to go, so that's how it works. Okay, here we go. This is the most important part. Okay, here it is. Okay. Dr. Popper. Okay. For emotional and mental health, what did you request the mother do? Complete an assessment with Dr. Popper, which she did, and to follow all recommendations that Dr. Popper had made. And did she complete her assessment with Dr. Popper? Answer. She completed the assessment with Dr. Popper. However, she didn't follow through with the recommendations from Dr. Popper. And did you receive Dr. Popper's report? Yes. May I have a moment? You're okay. I think that's when they introduced it into evidence. Okay. Oh, this is what they're showing. Dr. Popper's report. Okay. Petitioner's Exhibit A was identified. Mind you, it's 14 pages, but in here, I don't think it says like 9 or 10 pages. So they left out pages, which is horrible. Okay, now I'm going to show you what Dr. Popper's report. I just did his recommendation part because it's 14 pages. Dr. Popper recommendations. Okay, here we go. Let's see it. So I just scanned, I think it's page 13 and 14. It's like the end, so I had to put them together. But this is page 13 and page 14. And I put it together so it could be one scan, okay? Dr. Popper's report is 14 pages. I'm willing to give the full report. I'm not trying to, this is not like, I'm trying to do what they did. This was for his recommendations. Intensive individual counseling and continuing her DBT group. A reunification program should be developed. He was recommending, their guy recommended reunification with the mother. And they refused to listen to their guy, a PhD, okay? Now, so that's what she said. See that? Intensive individual counseling and continuing her DBT group. Okay, now let me go back to the record. I'll show you what she said. It says intensive individual counseling. And Jocelyn Hayes read that as down here. Where did she say? Okay. My fancy stickers. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's go back here. Okay. She completed her assessment with Dr. Popper. She completed, however, she did not follow through the recommendations. Okay. Report. Upon receipt of Dr. Popper's report, did you make sure all the parties? Okay. This is a complete assessment. Who's this for? Okay. If you flip through it, did it appear to be the complete report that you received? Yes. Other than my fancy sticker on there, okay. Your Honor, I'd like to submit for the Dr. Popper report Exhibit A, okay. Court received. Ms. Hayes, what did Dr. Popper request that the mother do or recommend rather? Participate in intensive outpatient therapy. IOP is intensive outpatient therapy. It is a stabilization program, if you know anything about mental health. Basically, it's usually when, if you go to the hospital and you're, just starting medication, or you're like, your life is all unstable. It's when you come out of the hospital, you do a program. It's usually 7 to 14 days, depending on your progress, and it's basically giving you help outpatient. It's like 9 to 2 or 3 every day. It's an intensive outpatient. So once you're inpatient, you come out of inpatient and you go to this outpatient therapy, and they kind of give you more help to help stabilize you on the outside of the hospital. Because when you're inside, it's kind of easy to be stable. When you actually get outside of the hospital and you're back to real life with all your stressors and triggers and stuff, it's to help in that process. Nobody recommended intensive outpatient therapy for me except for an unlicensed social worker at Union County DSS. Dr. Popper did not recommend intensive outpatient therapy, IOP. He recommended intensive individual. Here, Dr. Popper. It's right here. So Ms. Jocelyn Hayes, in all of her competency, open sesame. Maybe it's open already. Okay. Here maybe? Okay. Where's Dr. Popper's report? Okay, open sesame. Open. Preview. Okay. He recommended intensive individual counseling. That's what he said. He did not say intensive outpatient therapy. That does that say right there. Nowhere in his report does it say intensive outpatient therapy at all. So Jocelyn Hayes could not read this one sentence and decipher what Dr. Popper was recommending, nor did she care. So she kept saying, "But do IOP, do IOP." You see in my records, I did do IOP, but they released me because I didn't need intensive outpatient. You have to be prescribed, but it's a doctor prescribed, or they have to put in a referral for this. They couldn't put in a referral because I didn't need intensive outpatient. Just one social worker, unlicensed social worker, by the way, was saying this, and she's not a doctor. Dr. Popper didn't recommend it. My psychiatrist didn't recommend it. Jocelyn Hayes did because she misread Dr. Popper's report. That says intensive individual counseling and continuing with her DBT group. But, as you say, she says I wasn't complying. So let's go here. This is my drive. Oops. Okay, I said here we go. This is all my medical appointments from Cigna. Cigna is my Medicare. Open with preview. My Medicare provider. These are all the dates and providers, and then I put in that provider type. It had like what they paid out and stuff, their little spreadsheet. I delete all that. I just put in the provider type. Okay, so these are the service dates. I'm the patient. These are my providers. This was given to DSS. They threw it out. They didn't care. It was their narrative or nothing. And this is 100%. I was complying with Dr. Popper's recommendations prior to Dr. Popper even doing his analysis on me. Because that is what you do for a history of bipolar disorder. You take your medicine and you go to a psychiatrist and you go to individual therapy. And they recommended DBT group, Daymark did on January 24th through a DSS assessment right here. Right there. This is what they did. January 24th, DSS. They sent me to Daymark. Daymark recommended to do DBT group. I really needed a refresher on it. I'm glad I did it. I'd done it years ago, but it was like, during this whole situation, it was so intense. I really did need that. Like a reminder of all those things, because I did. Okay, so individual therapy. You see all these individual therapies? You see all these psychiatrists, labs. That includes blood work, urinalysis. They sent me to the hospital many times. They did urinalysis and blood work and released me to the streets, because right next door to the mental hospital here in Charlotte is called Imuvia. That's the drug rehab. If I went to the mental hospital, like they sent me there in July, right here, July 19th. If I went there and I was not taking my medicine as prescribed, which they can tell my blood work that I am because I'm on Tegretol. So if they saw through their blood work and urinalysis that I was a drug addict or wasn't taking my medicine, first of all, I was not a drug addict or problem, they would have sent me over to Imuvia for more care. That didn't happen. They released me to the streets after three doctors reviewing it, because they knew that this case was in a state situation. They covered their ass like they should, right here. 719, 720. DSS is the one who sent me there on a involuntary commitment. I go there, I do what they said to do. Basically, they just reviewed my record and said, okay, I don't know why she's here. You know, obviously her family, people are making shit up about her because they're sending her to the place I go get my medicine. Right here. Heda? That was my psychiatrist at Atrium, the same facility that they were sending me to 1 month later. So that was 6/20 I saw her, right? 1 month later, exactly 1 month later, they were sending me there saying that I wasn't taking my medicine and, well, stuff. That's what the involuntary paperwork said. But they never followed up with the involuntary paperwork to say, like, what the outcome was. So they use all these things, these documents, but they never follow up to tell what the outcome was, which is the most important part. They're fudging documents to make things one thing, but not another. But here's the most important part of this video. Jocelyn Hayes, caseworker for Union County DSS, got on that stand and said I was non-compliant. I wasn't following through with Dr. Popper's recommendations, which was individual therapy. Look at this. I was following through and being compliant with all the doctor's recommendations, with DSS, with the guardian ad litem, with the courts. And she got on that stand and said I was not going to therapy and not going to a psychiatrist, basically. But these are my payouts from Cigna. I'm telling you, Cigna Medicare is not going to pay out something to providers without any treatment. So I can't, these are all different doctors. There's no way I could say, like, oh yeah, I'm going to a doctor and, like, someone's fudging. No. This is Atrium, they're the big, Atrium and Novant are the big hospital systems here in Charlotte area. Okay. These are all, and you can look at them, you can look them up, see who they are. I just added this provider type. She got it, say I did IOP that one day at 8:30. Because she told me, we got to do IOP again. I'm like, okay, I went there. And I didn't qualify for IOP because I wasn't unstable. Jocelyn Hayes prescribed IOP and no doctor did. So they weren't going to put on a referral, they weren't going to pay for it. And on August 30th, I have the records that state that. None of that was presented into evidence. Here's the other thing. This is fraud, right here. Jocelyn Hayes is fraudulent. She is lying to a court right here under oath. Here is the transcript. She should be put in jail for perjury. And right there is ridiculous. Okay, get out of here. Let's talk about the case plan. Doing all these things here. Okay, so that was my case plan. Let me go to Red's case plan. I think it's called. What do I call it? It's my first case plan. I think I called it. Let's see here. CASE. It might be in my secret case. Yeah. Okay, I called it Red's case plan. Okay, let me go over here. Here it is. Let me go over here. I might be in my records here. I didn't transfer over to Drive. Try and put everything in there, but it doesn't work that way. Where's my files? Files. Files. Okay, here we go. Files. Here we go. All right, now. My files. Okay, recent. Okay, Michael Bridges case plan 1. Because I was doing this yesterday, and my health started failing. Like it's so frustrating. Because I already know what happened. Oops, easy to open. Okay. Maybe that. Oh, here's okay. Let me do this. Okay, so let's do this. Nope. I want to. I make it go the other way. Alright, here's this case plan. Okay. So do this out of here. How do I do this? Right click? Nope. Turn it around. Okay, shoot. Okay. I can't think right now how to do it. Usually I crop it and turn it around, but okay. Well, here's this case plan. Whatever. It's this case plan. Okay. So, number 1 recommendation was substance abuse. Number 2, describe the behaviors. Concerns with Mr. Bridges' use of alcohol. 3, this is what is on his case plan from his first case plan. Janie Lakeman up there, the one who faxed it, she's a super supervisor. Sarah Kelly was the caseworker, okay? So this is what he said. Mr. Bridges explained that he doesn't use alcohol or drugs, and he will prove he is a sober parent. Mind you, They know he abuses alcohol because it says in this October 16th transcript that he is allowed to drink, just not while parenting. But his case plan, his very first one, said, he's a sober parent. They did change that after that, and then they just started making it about drugs. They left the alcohol off the table. Well, Mr. Bridges is a violent alcoholic. Violent, he drinks, he gets violent. He strangled me until I nearly died. His problem with alcohol, not only is it his coping mechanism, because he's got mental health issues of his own. That's how he, instead of taking medicine and going to therapy, he drinks alcohol and does drugs to cope with life. And that's unhealthy. But this is the first case where the second caseworker changed his case plan. Let me do that. Right here. Sorry for the delay. It's I think I already scanned that, but I'll read you what the new one said. With Jocelyn Hayes. She changed his case plan for him. Literally. Changed it. First one. Substance abuse. 7/29/24 page. 7/29. Submitted to a random drug screen. This was his second one, I guess. So, okay. Let me just scan this one and show you this. This is after, John, when she got into the case, the second caseworker. Sarah was the first. The second case where she changed it. So this is, she changed it necessarily, but they tried to make it more about drugs and less alcohol. Okay, so let's go here and scan. Oh, shoot. Oh, frustrating. Get disconnected. Okay. Shoot. Restart it. Shit. My Chromebook, my phone, everything overacts because they somehow got into my Google account, and I don't know what they did. I'm I'm not a techie person, but let me see if I have another copy of it somewhere. I wonder if I scan it. I know I scanned it before, so I can find it. It's so frustrating. Okay, case plan. Case plan. Let's see what we can find. Michael Bridges case plan, December 2023. Okay, so that's one I just showed. Case plan, let's see if it's in this file. Case plan, December. Mora. Okay, Mora report cards in there. Okay. Okay, here. See if it'll do the. It'll connect the scanner. You have to shut down when that happens and stuff. Frustrating. It is what it is, right? Stuff happens. Okay, here we go. Labeled it. There's so many files. But they changed his case plan and said that he was in compliance. Michael Bridges, number one, he never got any mental health. He never got an assessment. He never did parenting classes, and he didn't get any treatment with his alcohol, as was asked of him on his case plan number, on all his case plans. And they just looked the other way, and it's like, oh, he's compliant. Their definition of compliant is very different than what the actual definition of compliance is in real life. Like the DSS and the guardian ad litem compliance is whatever the hell they want it to be. But the reality is there are no records of these things happening, and that means he's not compliant, but they have caseworkers getting on the stand and testifying that he's compliant. When you see that right there, that's his first case plan. He's supposed to get, treatment for his alcohol. He didn't do it. He didn't do anything he was asked, but go back to here. They said he was compliant. That's what you have to do in any account, really. You get the guardian ad litem to say whatever they want, to say whatever you want them to. You get the DSS caseworker to say whatever you want them to, and your case is made. So when you ask why that $50,000 is important, that Emma Roseborough got a second home mortgage for, well, that's why it's important. Because she paid these people off to basically give her son, a free ride. Oh, here's the other thing, too. Now look at this. You see this right here? This is a scan of, let's open with, this right here was presented in court right there. That Exhibit 1. That's my attorney put those on there. I'm not really the plaintiff, but he put those stickers on there in the courtroom. He put it on this and the parenting class certificate. These exhibits are nowhere in the case file. That's my copy because he gave it to me. Even Dr. Brown, when I was Dr. Brown, he's like, well, you're not supposed to have exhibits. It's supposed to be presented to the court. I'm like, oh, I know, but they were putting on this big show here, and I'm thinking oh yes, my new attorneys are going to do something for me. He's going to whatever. He did at least get this to the judge. That was in June of 2024, so this has been going on since October 2023. The judge did not even know that I had full custody, and I'd already been through this with Michael and Emma. As you can see, there's Emma, there's Michael. I've been through the same exact situation. Now they just paid people off, got the state involved, got the state to lie for them, and they made it happen. But meanwhile, none of this is reality. This is delusional. And as a mother who was found incompetent in a courtroom, saying I was unable to understand court proceedings, and that I'm incompetent, this is the epitome of what incompetence looks like in real life. Just incompetence on employees and people who are representing the state of North Carolina not having competency to do their job in a way that is lawful, ethical, reasonable, none of it. But these are all attorneys that are licensed by the bar, and then when I make complaints on North Carolina Bar Association, we got to do it in a different form, and they lose everything. Well, that's scary, because these people are practicing law with no ethics, no boundaries, they're kidnapping children, and they're getting away with it in North Carolina, and this is multiple attorneys. They're billing for hours that they never worked. It's scary. And there's that. His other case plan, basically, it says pretty much the same thing, but again, they tried to make it like he was a drug addict, so then they said he did all his drug screens, he came back clean, but drugs weren't the problem. I don't know if Red's on drugs or not. I have not talked to the man to this day since the summer of 2020. This man said I was doing all these crazy things. He is a pathological liar. Just like, we're going back to his first case plan, that's important. He's going to prove to be the sober parent. He doesn't drink alcohol, he doesn't do drugs. He is a pathological liar abuser who practices DARVO, deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. He claims to be the victim. I'm like the third girlfriend, second baby mama that this man has done this to. He's been doing this his whole life. That's how he copes with life, that's how he deals. But it's abuse. And my daughter sat and watched all this happen, and you saw me losing my mind, because it's bad enough to have all this stuff taken from you and be told that you're not doing all these things that you're absolutely doing. But to go to a court of law and beg the DSS attorney, the Guardian ad litem attorney, Vernon Cloud, Tiffany Porter, my attorney, everybody. I sent them all the same email because I had nothing to hide, begging them, please, I am getting help. Here's the records. Please correct the record. Please, I wasn't involuntary. Please. I didn't know they were all involved. I didn't know. But still, I covered my ass. I used to be an insurance agent. I know how to CYA. All of this stuff is on record. They still to this day refuse to state the truth, to let me see my child. And they're presenting me as some dangerous person. And really, the danger came from them. Because 650 days ago, they knocked on my door. I had a home, I had a child, I had property, I had a bank account full of money. It's all gone now. All of it. And I'm still fighting them just to have contact with my daughter. Because their narrative takes the center stage, and the truth is forgotten. But that's incompetence in its full definition. And it's sick that they silenced me and they're saying I'm all these things, and I didn't do all these things when I was so compliant with that case plan. More compliant than I should have been. Because nobody has the right to unlawfully evict you or steal your money or any of that, but they did. And I had to be compliant. They forced compliance. But it's terrorism. Domestic terrorism. They will do whatever the hell they want to, fuck it up, and say it's your fault, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's un-American. Un-American and sick. So there's that.